Welcome to the Energizing America podcast. We talk all things energy. And today, part of that conversation is around our Prove It campaign, and really excited about a specific initiative starting next week that I guess has been going on for a while. Hey, John?
Yeah, our apprenticeship program. And the thing that is so cool about it to me, well, there's a few things about it. But as we look at the future of electricians in America, specifically from a global view, the average age is, what do you come up with? 57, 58 years old. That's the average age of an electrician in the United States of America. And as we go towards all the stuff needing electricity and energy going forward, are we filling that wage gap? So one of the things that came up to me, or we've been talking about, is number one, how do we train people? How do we find people? How do we attract people? What are all these things? So that's why I thought it'd be pretty cool to talk about. Number one, our apprenticeship program, and secondly, behind that, the Prove It campaign and how they tie together and what that means for our business and electricians as a whole.
Yeah, I think it's like you say, one, you're on the front lines of hearing from employees when they come on board, and you're also following up with employees and hearing what they have to say. But when you say I came up with the age of electricians, as part of our ESOP program, we have to get an annual evaluation. And in there, they do all this research. And that was a telling statistic. Like, weren't they bragging about going from 58 years now to 56 and a half or something for the average age of an electrician, which we have some 56-year-olds. They're awesome. But it reeks of a impending problem. And especially when we go to conferences and we hear about the electrification of the future, like we were just at. So really pumped on this apprenticeship program. We've had it going for 2 years in Duluth, out of our Duluth, Minnesota office. We have several employees who went through the program and come out as licensed journeymen, which that piece of paper is extremely important, not just to be out and be able to call an inspector and run projects and the like, but really it allows that employee to have a career ahead of them no matter where they work, which is far more important to me that the employee is taken care of long term. I think the other piece of it is that we're able to go prove it to our clients that we have qualified individuals out there doing the work. As we did that year one, because it was a trial program, we thought if we can win this in Duluth, we can expand it across the company. Yep. One of the things our foreman started talking about, another licensed journeyman after the first year, was, hey, this is really cool. The guys seem to be coming out to the job with a bit more knowledge on code and how to do things. But the skill set, the physical hands-on skill set, was still lacking. So we really made a concentrated effort last year to say, okay, now in year two, we're not going to just do the education. We're also going to do the skill building. So we had little labs set up, and the guys every other week have to come in and spend an hour before the class. And they're doing things like conduit bending, threading, hooking up to a PLC, understanding some of those real technical on the job style things. And the feedback from the field has been like, man, now we're really winning. You got the education, plus we have the hands-on. And okay, now we should expand that across the company. And as our thoughts went along that, it just, I don't know why the Prove It name came to be, but it was like, we're not just showing on the...
You need to say it.
It really good to say Prove It.
It's another thing to actually prove it.
Yeah. And I think the piece of paper says something that you understand the code and you've taken a test and congrats. But we've had plenty of folks in our 13 years of running Wescom that have given us a piece of paper and we went on the project and they failed. So we had to go a step further. We got to prove it. And that's where that skill set, really, that training has come to be a big piece of it. And then I think one other piece of the Prove It program that's been super fun. So the apprenticeship program kicking off next week, we moved it across all regions. That's a huge win. Adding in that that biweekly skill set building, that was a huge win. And we're going to do that across the other areas as well. One of the things then expanding that further, like, what about the other electricians who joined our team that already had this piece of paper? How do we capture some of that skill building? And we've really gotten some technical. We have a program now in place that after every monthly safety meeting, we do a monthly technical training, and that has been money well spent, no doubt. We were in North Dakota this week, and we witnessed a locator. And every journeyman electrician raised their hand and said they knew how to use that. And I don't know if you were outside for the whole training, but it was remarkable how the two journeyman electricians didn't even know how to turn it on. And that's not a knock on what they have.
Nope.
We don't do line locating. It's not even something I advocate that the guys do very often. But as a final check before we go underground, we can do a sweep. But if you don't know how to use the equipment, we can't do that.
Pretty hard to do.
Yeah. So I think this Prove It program, have you ever looked at the cost of it? Probably, I don't think we have.
Well, I don't think well, obviously there's the tangible cost to it, right? But when people call and I'm talking to people about working at Wescom, the first question is money. Everybody likes to get paid. And the second question out of 95% of the people is, how can I further my career? What training do you guys offer? How can I get from here to here? You know, like you said about this piece of paper. So I'm a journeyman electrician who's been wiring houses for 8 years. That skill set doesn't necessarily translate into oil field, pipeline, industrial work. So in order to grow my career as an electrician, I already have a piece of paper. I need them skills to get my career further. So having this Prove It program, I guess, whatever you want to call it, has been a huge thing to get people to come in understanding that, yes, we have dedicated trainings and tasks for you to do to further your career. And as far as ROI goes, it's immeasurable.
Or figure that out, right? So I think this is where we go back to what's our mission. It's Energizing America. How are we going to do that? Well, we need people.
Yep.
And in order to get good people, we have to take a very hands-on approach to that and get involved. I think back to how many times we had the discussion prior to your joining our team, especially about how we need to do better with training. We need to do better. And such a cheap talk. And it turns out it's really difficult to kick it off. Like originally with this apprenticeship program several years ago, we tried doing it in-house and have one of our leaders like host a weekly class and take turns with the journeyman, have them come in and host a class. And it just flopped.
It expired.
And it wasn't because there weren't good people, but it's hard to come up with a curriculum and one that actually ends up like graduating people. So through the Minnesota Electrical Association, which I can't give them enough credit for their program, it's one of these that our guys coming here every Tuesday night and we feed them. There's some incentive for them to go through the program. And then they follow that exact program. But if they end up going to Michigan to work on the pipeline, they can still dial into the program from anywhere. And if they happen to be working late, which happens oftentimes in our business,
No doubt.
they can catch it up on a Saturday. And so as long as they stay on task, it starts in September, goes through April, they can graduate from that year. And after 4 years, should be fully prepared to go sit down for an exam. And I think, what if we had 6 or 8 people?
I believe there's 6 people at Twin Ports alone that have went through our program and are now journeymen.
And on a 14 startup.
On a 14 started.
So I think that's a pretty good success ratio because we're not seeing 14 over 4 years. We're saying within the first couple of years of that program, 6 people were able to go graduate and get their exam done.
Yeah.
Do you think the incentive has made a difference?
Well, we do a couple different things. You know, they get a little financial incentive to enroll in the program. And that's the other part of it. You know, in order to work as an electrician in whatever state you're in, you have to register with the state. That's standard. That's the law. You have to do that. Where it goes beyond that is up to the individual. If you want to be an apprentice electrician for 37 years and retire, that's up to you. But we have some cool incentives financially, obviously, and then different stipends or different things we do to, you know, maybe a week of vacation is important to you or a really cool gift is important to me. So trying to figure out what people want and get it to them so they stay engaged and they're only helping themselves. That's the other really cool thing to me is not downplaying this piece of paper at all, because that piece of paper will allow you, that's yours. It's not Wescom's, it's yours. And you can take that wherever you want to go in the whole continental US, Alaska, Hawaii, and get yourself the job.
A really good one.
A really good one.
Because again, the average age is 50 plus and we have our whole electrification of the future ahead of us. It makes me think a little bit. We have one gentleman who works for us that was in the IDEW for a while, and they have a robust way of getting electricians through as well. When he left, he had to pay for his apprenticeship program. that's really powerful, that if you're like, this really doesn't necessarily, it'll translate to dollars for Wescom, right? Like, of course it does. For one thing, we get qualified people while they're here. And I think that's where the real ROI comes for us. And when they leave, it sure feels good that they're well taken care of and that they have a career ahead of them. I think it's so easy as an employer to get short-sighted and always put dollars and cents next to everything. And those do have to add up, right? Of course. But at the end of the day, at Wescom, we're caring more about it in order to energize America long term. We have to have a pipeline of employees coming up, and we got to make that an attractive. It's got to be something that not only the employee can believe in, but his family or her family can believe in. Like, it's got to be an all-in approach. And yeah, we could just say, hey, we'll give you $2,000 a year. Go to some class somewhere. But I think the camaraderie, there's something else that's been really neat about this apprenticeship program out of the Twin Ports, and I'm hoping this will happen in the Permian and the Bakken and the Powder River when we deploy it next week. We rotate people in to help lead the course, be here, be present for the Tuesday night. Then the camaraderie that's built in that room, not just amongst the apprentices, but between the apprentices and the journeyman who's leading the class that night. Because even though it's a live class put on by an association, we still have a journeyman here. During breaks, we're discussing specific code questions and how that relates to Wescom and the work we do out in the industrial world.
And the hands-on
piece. That it's been phenomenal to see the trust build that even happens in that 3-hour session. And it's not something I ever thought of when we got to program together.
Well, I think about when you said that, training people and they leave. That old philosophy of what's worse than investing time and money and energy and training into somebody and they leave, not doing it and they stay, right? So all of a sudden you have some unqualified people sticking around. That doesn't help your business at all.
Well, no, and let's talk a little bit about that. When we think about, we're just at the North Dakota Petroleum Council meeting. We've had quite a year of low oil prices. We've had at the same exact time a difficult business industrial environment for our clients. They're challenged.
Yep.
It's not as rosy as one would expect given the administration in place and all the things in place. It's not as rosy as we would think. So they have these challenges. And then over the last several years, quality and safety has continued to take a larger bite of their scoring methodology when they select a contractor. They're no longer interested in who has the lowest bid. They're interested in who's the best contractor. I literally say in the last 13 years, that has changed before my eyes, that it's real partnerships with companies that are willing to invest and make sure that the end user has a good product. Did you notice at the North Dakota Petroleum Council how many sessions were related around workforce training?
Yeah. It's a real deal. There's a Mike Rowe, I hope you're familiar with him. He's a blue collar type of guy, but he was giving a talk and he was talking about how there's this big skill set, blue collar revolution that's got to happen because we just don't have enough skilled blue collar people. And he made the comment that, where them people are? They're in the 8th grade. In other words, they're young. And when they get to this stage, they're going to have to be trained and helped out and led along the path to getting a journeyman card, going through this training, getting educated, all of it. There are just not enough people out there in the trades today. So we have to start training our own, for lack of a better term, future-proof it. The only way to future-proof our industry is to train our own people.
And it's interesting because I think our clients are responding to it very positively. They're the same exact people in that room at the North Dakota Petroleum Council, for example, just because that was just this week, that are listening into that. And then when they're sitting down with us at our annual meetings or when we're going through a bid review or the like, and they're asking for the resume of your people that you're going to have on the job site, this matters to them greatly. And what was it? Maybe a month ago, we were invited to go down to a specific office of a very large corporation. And we were one of 3 contractors invited to sit down with the vice president. And the question was, how do you find your people? And what are you doing to keep your people? Because none of our other folks are winning in this degree. And we had demands from our corporate team as a leadership team that we have agreed safety, quality, and good product. And if you don't have good people, some people can get good product, right? There's a lot of really skilled people, but to get that with the quality and the safety and have an all-in approach, I don't know how you can do that if you are used to your daddy's oil field or the way it used to be where, well, when I came up through the trades, I just had to, skim my knucks. That's how I figured it out, right? And but it doesn't apply to me.
Right. Well, I'll go talk to any, 50-plus-year-old person that's been in the construction industry. Hearing loss, like battle scars, all these things that we wish we would have learned when we were 20 about safety and protecting my eyes and protecting my ears and doing things the right way, not just running and gunning and getting things done as fast as you can every single time. There's a place for that, obviously. We still have to get our work done, but we can get it done responsibly and safely with the right training.
And I think that's another piece of this Crew-Lit campaign that's been really awesome, is tying in our safety meeting to what that means out on the job. And every time we've had a safety incident, you really cause it out, it boils down to lack of knowledge. And so having this apprenticeship program in place helps build or helps bridge that gap. Having the technical training as part of our monthly safety training further closes that gap. And eventually we have the right people doing the right task out on the job site, and a client can easily say, well, that's the right partner for me. I think it was interesting to me at a recent conversations with clients, how, they have this expectation of an employee, of a contractor and their employees. And it's difficult to maintain, as we know.
Yeah.
The 56-year-old guy is the best person you could have out on a job site from a knowledge standpoint, right? But the 56-year-old gentleman oftentimes isn't the one who wants to be up on the cable tray, horsing, some 500s to some cable tray. That's heavy, difficult work, right? And so they one client called me. He said, we need more gray hair on that job. And I told him, no, you got that wrong. We actually need more teachers on the job. It's not about the color of the hair. It's about what's going on that project. And the 56-year-old folks need to embrace the 18-year-old kid. They need to embrace the 20-year-old kid, the 24-year-old, if you want to call them kid, because if we don't, we're not going to have an industry. It's just, it's dying out there. And so
we're in need.
My question goes on, when you think of Prove It and talking to our clients and bringing in the employee side, what else should we be thinking of as we further develop this program? Like, what's next?
Well, I think there's so many ways we can prove it. And every client that's the other challenge in our industry. So I can go work with client A and they want me to do things like this. And then I go to client B. Oh, no, we don't do it like that. We do it like this. So when we get to the point where we can identify all of client A's skill requirements, safety requirements, and we can say Bob, Bill, and Joe have worked on this project. They understand it and they have it. And then at the same time, Ted, Fred, and Jill over here have it over here. And then maybe the next job with this, we send one guy over there. So he learns that and this guy learns that. And pretty soon you have a diverse workforce that no matter what project comes up for what client, you have the skill set to see it. And you could see it easily.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful. The thing, I asked what's next, and that's exactly it. In order to get to what's next, we need the pipeline to get forward. We need more people coming up, right? And then once we have that done by skill, by client, that makes a ton of sense. Also, I'm really excited just to think of like proving it beyond always just the field work or just the electricians, right? The automation techs are recently, we've tried a few different programs. We need to get more steam behind the automation techs, but as you know, the IE techs are in such demand and under so much pressure. It's really difficult to get them to dedicate time. But in a recent Saturday, I dialed in and it was phenomenal. They spent 3 hours going through several different items, and it was self-taught. We put it on for our own text. There's not tons of online versions of that available. Various specific companies have, Rockwell and Ellen Bradley, they have their thing, but that's all you're learning is their thing. And we really want to make this not brand specific or not software specific. So I look forward to seeing that come to fruition, the same exact thing that we have in the electrical portion of our business going beyond. I think the technical training that we've kicked off is awesome. I don't know that once a month is enough. That's on my mind. We're always conflicting that with, I'll say, hey, we need to do more education, and then I'll freak out when I see unbillable time and CFO. And I'll say, what's going on here?
Right.
I also think we've chatted some about even leadership skill building from a standpoint that if you have the knowledge out on the job, we can also prove that we have the skills to complete the job easily for the client, whether it be project managers, whether it be foremen, skill building, some of those communication style things. It's like as a business grows, you start out with this little flower, this seed, you're out just doing work, and all of a sudden it starts blooming, and you're like, wow, now all of a sudden it needs a lot of water, so we need more of these bloomers. Yeah. And it starts small and it grows into something. The apprenticeship program started small in Duluth. It's growing across the company now. Starts next week. We'll do the next, it's 7 months, I guess, 6-7 months of it. Well, at the end of it, everyone gets a little incentive. It was really cool last year, John. Every one of the guys who went through the program, they get some options when they're done. They all took the tool allowance. Like they all wanted the money to go buy tools for that, because electricians in our business have to provide their own hand tools. That showed to me that they're serious.
They're investing in their career.
Yeah. And boy, those electricians, when those W-2s come off, I mean, you and I have chatted about this. We've often wondered if we should go attend the maybe program ourselves. But I think seeing this program now kick off across the regions and part of the broader Prove It program, and then this week, especially visiting with the clients we did, it just really feels like it's all coming together and to be in a really awesome deal for America as we energize America, frankly. Like, of course, it's a great opportunity for Wescom to capitalize on it. But again,
it's a win-win.
Right.
Which we seek.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to us talking next year about how many people, I think, is there like 40 people enrolled in the program this year?
Company-wide.
Yeah. So 40 electricians. I think, the bill was terrible for the books and everything else. They stomached that. And as I told the guys, now prove it to me that you care. Show up, do your work. And then I will do the proving to the client that we have the right team going forward. It's We Energize America. So let's do it.